Start the timer. Apologize if you had expectations of watching me play the oud right now. I think I'm more here to talk about my experience as a musician. However, if you still want to hear to some music, maybe towards the end I could create something for you. All right. So, where to start? I come from Lebanon. I've been in the States for the past 12 years. I'm the youngest of 5 brothers, and one day brother number 2 brings the oud home. He was at college. He thought it was cool to play, but he never, kept up with it. And I had more free time than him. So I started to play, and my father knew his friend who played oud. He hooked me up with him. Yeah, let's give this kid a few lessons. I took a few lessons, and that journey started. I went to the Lebanese conservatory for a year, and then I moved to the States, questioning if I should bring the instrument or not. And one of the things I remember at that time is that everyone in the family was encouraging me to play music. However, keep it as a hobby. Keep it as a hobby. Keep it as a hobby. For multiple reasons, including religious reasons as well. Because I grew up in a conservative society, religiously. Music wasn't very accepted, I would say. Some instruments were accepted, like the frame drum, because it's used in these Sufi traditions. Other instruments, like the oud, weren't very accepted. So I always had to kind of justify it to myself. I said, okay, well, I'm playing this kind of spiritual music. It's okay. It's gonna work. It's okay. So I brought the instrument with me to the United States, and I had no plans of becoming a professional musician whatsoever. I went to college for math and chemistry. Started with chemistry because I was planning to go to medical school. Started to work at a hospital, decided I don't want to go to medical school. And I liked math, so double majored in it. Now, I had very many serendipitous events that really put me on the path to becoming the musician I am today. The most important was studying with Simon Shaheen. Now, if you don't know who that musician is, he's one of the top oud players in the whole world, living today with us. One of the top musicians also in this century who present Arabic music, and he lived one block away from me, by chance. So he took me under his wing, studied oud with him while double majoring in math and chemistry and having a part-time job to support myself. After that point, I went to his music retreat. He had a workshop. And at the workshop, I get this sense of community that I didn't have at all. And keep in mind, I had this huge cultural shock moving to the States. I came from one community to another that were completely opposite. I was in a house that had a minimum of 7 at all times, plus the cousins and uncles and aunts and neighbors, to a house with 2 roommates that showed up at very different times, and everyone is stressed. So moving on, I went to the retreat, to the workshop, and I felt a part of this community, and I made these connections with musicians that lived in New York, came back to New York, stayed in touch with them, joined the New York Arabic Orchestra. And at the New York Arabic Orchestra, I meet this cellist whose name is Michael Block. He played, fiddle, country music, graduated from Juilliard. I will teach him Arabic music, and he will teach me Candy Girl and other fiddle pieces. It's pretty fun. I love it. Now, I didn't know at the time that he played with Yo-Yo Ma, and after a while he said, hey man, the Silk Road Ensemble, Yo-Yo Ma Silk Road Ensemble are starting this new educational program where you go to public schools and you teach students about your culture and tradition through music and arts. Would you like to join us? Yeah, of course. So we go, and I start this journey. I was about 19, 20 years old, so I felt good. I felt in my element. I felt at that point that most of my community was a community of artists. I felt I was doing good by focusing on my music and sharing what I know about my music. After that step, I graduated from college, and I wasn't now in retrospect, I realized I wasn't ready to face the world. So I went to do my master's program in engineering. Because it sounded cool. Industrial engineering and operations research. The science of studying, what was it? The science of solving problems using mathematical models. And I like that. I still like it, actually. I may go back at one point. Midway through, I just didn't feel, it wasn't right. And I was having more opportunities in music. I tried to keep music away. I said, okay, that's it. Focus on engineering. And all through this time, of course, I have these voices coming from some older brothers of mine and some, family members that, hey, how's the music going? Good, keep it on the side. How's the music going? Don't forget, it's a hobby. So, moving forward, I basically, I had a plan. I thought, I'm gonna keep trying at this program until I feel I can't take it anymore. And I gave myself a few shots, and I had this opportunity to teach at Harvard Graduate School of Education with this ensemble in a workshop called Arts and Passion-Driven Learning. So I go there and I'm teaching multiple workshops, and I start to ask questions I always thought they were stupid to ask. My ego was preventing me from asking these questions. But this time I didn't let it prevent me from asking these questions, and I started to talk to my musician friends like, hey, what do you think about becoming a musician? What do you think about music? How does it make you feel? I know it may sound a stupid question, but I'm curious to hear. And no, they weren't silly questions at all. And my musician friends spend good time telling me and sharing with me about their own experience doing that. And one of them, on the right back from Cambridge, he told me, you know what, Hadi, I don't think you don't know what you want to do. I think you're just afraid of pursuing music. And that clicked. And I realized it was true. And I, took my phone, wrote an email, sent it to my older brothers. Dear brothers, I hope this email finds you well. I'm messaging you to tell you that I'm gonna stop my pursuit of my engineering program and pursue music as a full-time profession. Don't worry, all I'm asking from you is not to worry about me. And the thing is, we're very close as a family. I'm very grateful for that. So, to feel that my older brothers and parents are worried about me adds this kind of negativity to me, and I don't want that. But at the same time, I know exactly where they're coming from. You look at very famous musicians in our world, amazing musicians, that have been struggling so much and even passed away broke. Yeah. So they didn't want that struggle for me. It's not that they didn't want me to play music because they don't want me to be happy or excited or whatever. I think it had this element, they're thinking about how the society functions in our world. And by the way, many cultures in the world have that kind of concern, including the Western cultures. They have this concern that they don't encourage the children, or they don't encourage the young people to pursue arts as a full-time major because it's an uncertain profession and career. That actually led me to do one of the projects I'm working on later in life. It's called Grandpa, or Grant PA. It's a website that connects artists with funding opportunities, like grants, like patrons. And that's a platform that has recently launched, and I was very lucky to do a TED Talk about the status quo of the arts funding and the value of arts and the value of artists in the American society as well as the world, but with a focus of the US society. And at the end of the TED Talk, I present Grandpa as a solution. And now the TED Talk is almost at 1 million views, and I'm very excited about it, and it really had opened doors for me and for other artists to see what I'm working on and to help them find opportunities so they don't struggle. Generally, that's the big idea. So I quit my master's program. I focused on music. I had opportunities during the master's program, although I decided not to focus on music. I get this email out of nowhere, from this guy, said, "Hey man, I know a mutual friend who recommended you to join the Brooklyn Philharmonic Orchestra as a composer fellow. You should apply." And I applied, and I got in. And I was supposed to compose a piece for string quartet and another instrument, which I chose oud to be, and then a piece for Philharmonic Orchestra. The Philharmonic Orchestra went broke after I wrote the string quartet, so I had something at least. I had something, and that something got to be played next year with Yo-Yo Ma on cello. So that was like also, thank you universe, thank you God, thank you serendipity. And after that, I just started to focus on what I have, on music. I decided not to pay much attention to what I've been listening all of my life, and to trust what the signs. I mean, I know it sounds a little bit, I don't know, metaphysical maybe, but I felt that I should give it a try and just focus on music and be there. I traveled to China. Actually, there's one of mine after the concert tells me that his vocal teacher wants to give me a scholarship to go and teach and participate in a workshop in Croatia, if I'm interested. And of course I said yes, and I go to Croatia, beautiful, beautiful village I was in. And in Croatia, I meet this other community of artists, and I meet these musicians who lived in China. I stay in touch. These musicians at some point told me like, "Hey, we're leaving town, we're leaving China for good in 6 months." They lived there for like 12 years. I tell them, "Guys, you're the only people I know who live in China, and you're musicians, I'm a musician, my brother's a musician. Oh, by the way, I got my immediate older brother to the dark side, and now he performs with me. You need allies." So basically, we went to China, and at that point, I was still like I had just decided to get out of my master's program, and I remember that my brothers, even those who were supporting me, were telling me like, "Hey, do you really need this? Maybe you should focus more. You don't have to put your savings into this trip." But I was looking for experience. I was still in my early 20s, so why not? And I went there, and best time of my life. Made very good connections with local musicians. I loved it. I loved it. Then I came back, and then I went to DC to participate on this project at the Kennedy Center with Hadi Eldebek, who's an Iraqi-American playwright, amazing woman. And we're catching up on the train, and she asks me about what I've been up to, and I tell her I was in China. She said, "That's funny, someone from the Kennedy Center asked me about if I knew an Arab musician or an Arab artist who had some connection with China." So we arrived at the Kennedy Center, puts me in touch with the Vice President of International Programming. We talked for 30 minutes, and conclusions, I had a performance at the Kennedy Center in a few months, and she puts me in touch with Disney World Imagineering, who later on I became a cultural artistic consultant for them on a project related to China. So, many things happen, and I only have 1 minute left here. But fast forward, I've been through a lot of ups and downs. I've been definitely like going through this like inner discovery journey, inner remembering journey also. And now I have my focus on these 3 projects, basically Grandpa, my platform, Circle World Arts, which is, this is our mission with that organization, is to make the world arts accessible to as many people as possible. And finally I have Brooklyn Nomads, which is my band. Now I have 30 seconds, so can you just like give me the speed? Okay. That's it. Thank you so much. I hope I didn't bore you so much with the details, but thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you, Hadi. Hadi Eldebek, everybody.
We need our immigrants.